place was called Superla Spa. It was a full-service establishment. Massage tables, salon chairs, mud baths, etc. The explosion went off a little after 3. A squad car was 2 blocks away when the place went up, so the fire department was able to respond within 4 minutes. Not that it helped. The place was fully engulfed by the time they arrived. They were just lucky to keep it contained to just this building.
I didn't know there was a spa down here.
Building's been here since the late 70s, but it's only been a spa since '98. The gentleman in the corner there is Pete Baja. His company owns the Superla Spa. I took his statement, but you'll want to follow up with him, too. Have you two met yet?
Not officially. I'm Sarah Seidel. The team speaks very highly of you. You want to take that interview?
This is the CSI tutorial. You can turn it off at any time by selecting the option on the tutorial window and enable it again from the options menu. The cursor is used to both navigate and to select. Moving it to the edges of the screen will rotate the camera. When the cursor moves over something, it will change based on the action that can be taken. An arrow means that you can change your viewpoint. A speech bubble will appear over the people with whom you can talk.
Hi, Pedro Baja. Baja, like Baja California. But call me Pete. Everyone does. Well, almost everyone.
You in charge of this place, Pete?
I'm the CEO of Miel LLC. It's less impressive than it sounds. It's basically a holding company for a few mom-and-pop style businesses that were worth rescuing when the original owners wanted out. The company owns Superla Spa. What's left of it.
To choose what to say, move the cursor over a topic icon and select it.
We'll have to notify the claims adjuster when we've released the scene.
Actually, this is kind of embarrassing, but the policy on this place has lapsed.
You let the fire insurance on one of your businesses expire?
It's complicated. We sent them a payment, but they said they didn't get it. Then they wanted us to pay a late fee and raise our premium. I mean, we've done business with them for years, and now they decide to penalize us over a little slip-up?
You've just received a case file update. You can access the case file by using your PDA.
I have some things I need to take care of. Here's my card, at least until the next board meeting. You can reach me at my office.
Great job! You've found some evidence. Be sure to use your PDA to access the evidence viewer so you can look at your findings up close. The PDA allows you to examine evidence, look over case notes, move to new locations, and change game options. The evidence viewer allows you to get a close look at every piece of evidence you've collected. It's important to look carefully at each piece of evidence you find, as it may contain evidence itself. You can rotate around the evidence by selecting any part of it and moving the cursor in the direction you want it to turn. If the cursor changes to a toolbox, there is evidence to find. Your tool case consists of 4 main sections: fingerprint tools, fluid detection tools, collection tools, and casting tools for making molds. Move the cursor over the type of tool you want to use and select it. Be sure to try and match the type of tool to the type of evidence you're trying to collect. Some tools require you to hold the button down while moving the cursor over the area you wish to search.
It was nice of Mr. Baja to give us his fingerprint like that.
At any time, you can ask your CSI partner for his or her opinion about what you should do next. Your thoroughness score has increased. You can get a higher thoroughness score by navigating to viewpoints in a location that you have not visited before.
We should take samples of soot from all around this place to see if we can find traces of an accelerant. We can't just pick that up. Look at how it's burned away from its frame. Drywall is usually fire resistant. Those holes could be there to let more air fan the fire and get to that wooden frame underneath. That could indicate arson, but we'll need a lot more evidence to prove it. I think if we can get one more sample of soot after this one, we'll have enough. If this thing was on last night, we could have our ignition source. It's hard to tell what this was. Not much left of it. Judging from the charring in the inside of the oven, it was in there for long enough to catch fire. It's almost like a timed fuse. So far, that's two things that point to arson. We'll need more evidence to be sure. Popcorn-style ceiling. Hold your breath while you're taking that sample. If it's as old as it looks, it's probably got asbestos in it. We need to figure out what caused this fire. If it's an accident, we won't have to do much more.
You've just received an email from your supervisor. It will point out something that you may not have noticed yet. You can access this email from your PDA. The case file contains a record of all important information discovered during your investigation. It also allows you to play back cinematic sequences and access the hint emails sent to you by your supervisor. The email section contains communication from your supervisor to help you solve the case. When the information in the email no longer applies, the text will become gray. The location icons represent the different places you can visit. New locations will open over the course of your investigation.
We've gathered soot from all over this place. Should be enough. I don't think we're going to pull any prints off of that. Look at the crimping along the edges of the split gas line. I'd say it was cut. That's the third sign of possible arson we've found. I'm almost convinced. Have we looked everywhere? Tested everything? Asked every question we can think of? We must be missing something. I'm just not sure what it could be.
The Visual Enhancement Station allows you to view and compare both small and large objects and process document evidence. The Material Analysis Station allows you to analyze chemical composition and process DNA evidence. If the cursor becomes a hand, it's a sign that you can interact with the object underneath it. The Chemical Analyzer lets you identify the chemical composition of certain evidence. Select a piece of evidence using the Evidence button to begin. You've added a sample to the Chemical Analyzer. You can attempt to match the sample to another sample you've already collected, or you can attempt to search for a match. Use the Evidence button to select something you've already collected, or the Search button to search the database. You've added a second chemical sample. Does it contain the same pattern of thick and thin lines as the original? If so, then select Confirm Match. Otherwise, the back button will remove the second sample and let you try another comparison. The results of your search are in the column on the right. Notice how the original sample is made up of thin and thick lines on a spectrum. Selecting a search result will add its lines to the spectrum on the bottom. Selecting it again will remove its lines. Your goal is to combine the search results on the right until the spectrum on the bottom matches the spectrum on the top. You will need to select more than one search result at a time in order to make a match. To gain a high skill score, correctly choose the appropriate search results without removing any.
It's mostly carbon, but there are traces of volcanic minerals and acetone. The mud at the spa is made of volcanic ash, but the acetone is an anomaly. Acetone is sometimes used as an accelerant. We should test the rest of the soot we've collected. The soot from the break room contains carbon, acetone, and T-butyl mercaptan. That's the odorant they use in natural gas. That's the second sample of soot to contain acetone. Let's keep analyzing the soot samples we've collected. I think we're onto something. Lots of carbon, some acetone, and trace amounts of T-butyl mercaptan. We have acetone, a known accelerant, in samples of soot taken from every room in the spa. We've got a gas leak that looks to be the result of tampering. The drywall here has been ventilated to get around its natural fireproofing. And then there's this acetone residue over every inch of the place. Throw a muffin in the toaster oven at 450 degrees. Then just leave it in there without setting the timer. Sounds like a recipe for arson.
The DNA analysis station allows you to identify a sample of DNA, either by comparing it to an already identified sample or searching the database for a match. Select a piece of evidence using the Evidence button to begin.
There's quite a bit of carbon from where it burned. But there's also wheat flour, tapioca starch, and sodium carboxymethylcellulose. What I'm not seeing are any animal proteins. You know what? I think this is a vegan pastry of some kind. A muffin from the size of it.